All right, man. Errol Spence out here crying, looking drained, and making excuses already. Um, Shout out to Fight Hub. They did an interview with him where Errol Spence, excuse me, was basically saying that Terence Crawford was holding up the fight with all these demands and continuing to move the goalposts with all these different demands. And um, now it's an issue. Okay. Um, so let's check it out. Fair use. Shout out to Marcos Villegas. Um, Man, he just getting a little bit too barkative for your boy. Um, so let's check it out real quick. Shout out to them. Uh, let's see if we can make sure we can hear what's going on. There we go.
My people wanted to, after a while, they wanted to walk away from the fight because, out of just all that, outrageous demands, and then when you meet his demands, then he moves the goalpost. So, I feel like it was definitely me that got this fight because, I really wanted it. So I was willing to, let my ego go, my pride go, and give him the stuff that he wanted that, the people that was in my corner didn't think I was gonna do.
Was it some of the percentage or money or just ring walks or just what we're just curious on how you were able to make this fight materialize? Because it seems like you kind of made the fight.
Yeah, definitely percentages, even ring walk. We gotta flip a coin to see who's gonna walk last. So it was just stuff like that. Even though I'm the A side, I gotta flip a coin.
All right. To me, it don't sound like you the A side. Just to me, it don't sound like you the A side to me. A side don't budge. A side get what they want. A side is doing it big. What do Webby say? Doing it big. If you can't do it big, pretend to. South Pole with the shirt and the jeans too. You can't afford that killer, that regular weed straight. Can't afford that Hennessy to get some E and J. As long as you're doing big, man, you doing straight. Yo, that's off the classic album, Boosie and Webby, Ghetto Stories. If you never, not the movie, the album. If you never heard that classic album, it's a great album, by the way. Great listen to. If you got Spotify, whatever, wherever it's on. Um, Great listen to. But like I continue to say, man, this dude got a bunch of excuses, bro. If you the A side, I didn't take a tune up because I didn't want to get injured, and I didn't want this to happen, and I didn't want that to happen, and I gave up this to make the fight happen. You know why he gave that up? To be real, because he didn't want to be at fault for this fight not happening. Now I confirm what he said is true about Terence Crawford continue to move the goalposts. I heard that Terence Crawford was asking for them to pay for his entourage and all these crazy demands. I can confirm what he's saying is true. That Crawford kept moving the goalposts. Now, I think what it all boiled down to, money was funny, and I think also what it boiled down to, and this is me assuming, is that the disrespect that they took him through. They basically, defamed his character, drove his value down. So Terence Crawford came back and said, "Nah, I'm coming back to get it in blood." So at the end of the day, what he's saying is true about Terence Crawford. About that he continued to move the goalposts. He was tough to negotiate with, but then again, for 4 or 5 years, y'all sat there and y'all lied to him. Y'all sat there and drug his name in the mud. If you really notice, Terence Crawford not going back and forth with Errol Spence about them talking about his resume, about throwing dirt on his name and all that. He really ain't going back and forth with them. But don't nobody feel sorry for Errol Spence when you sat there and say, well, Bob won't give him to me. He on the wrong side of the street coming to Showtime. All this other stuff that he was saying. All this other stuff that he was going around saying, talking shit about this man character, trolling this man. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. You can't even get mad at Terence Crawford for being a shrewd negotiator or a tough negotiator. You know what I'm saying? Once you drag my name through the mud, now at the end of the day, if we all gonna compromise, why didn't we just do it earlier? That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. You know, that's the $1 million question. If we gonna sit here and we gonna do all this, why you just couldn't do it from the beginning? Ask yourself that. Why you just couldn't compromise from the beginning and operate from the beginning? That's you got to ask yourself. Why did you sit here and drag this man through the mud, name through the mud like that? Real talk. Real talk. Real talk. So you got to ask yourself that. You got to ask yourself that. And then he's sitting there and he basically bitching and complaining. Oh, Terence Crawford fault. He didn't do it. But dude, you told me if I left Top Rank, the money was gonna be there. First, we didn't have the money. We didn't want to do this. All they doing was stalling, buying Errol Spence time. They was trying to convince Errol Spence not to take the fight. That's just what it boiled down to. That's what it boiled down to. He the one that sat out for 16 months, and he said I didn't choose to take a tune-up. He said that. Well, Terence Crawford can't wait. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait. Okay, he said that. We talked about that already. He couldn't wait. And I just sat there and wait because I didn't want to get injured. Terence Crawford wasn't worried about getting injured. He wasn't worried about getting injured. You know. He went out there and did what he had to do. And I'm starting to think that Errol Spence don't want to fight Keith Thurman because he knows it's going to be a tough fight for whatever reason. Because he should have just went on and took that fight. Let's call it what it is. He should have went on and took that fight. He should have. He should have. So ultimately that's on him. But do he look drained? I mean, yeah, he couldn't wait. He shot out 16 months. So was he keeping himself in shape between 16 months? People saying in the beginning of the training camp, he was at a day party. Now I also heard him say that, he get away from he get a hotel during training camp while he in Dallas to kind of get away from the family, whatever. So he got some type of seclusion there. But but you know what it is, but that's him. But he young enough to overcome. They know what they doing, so that ain't no excuse. He said, I never miss weight before, always make weight. They showing Errol Spence training in 100+ degree weather and all that stuff. But don't sit here being a chatty patty. That's what he's doing. He's sitting here being a chatty patty. Sitting here telling all the business. Okay, we already negotiated. Terence Crawford say, yo, Terence Crawford say, if I ain't He said if I ain't make the fight, he said if I didn't make the fight, you know, if I didn't make that call, the fight wouldn't have got made. So they both got stories. They got to flip a coin for the ring walk, and all that. Rightfully so. He stood on his pivot. Rightfully so. Because they wasn't trying to make this fight. And we all know it. We all know they wasn't trying to make this fight. And Errol Spence hurt people in his neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence heard people talking about him in his neighborhood. He heard the community talking about him. And he had to get in there and do it. And then I think part of not taking the tune-up, maybe he was worried about getting injured. But, yo, let me know what you girls and guys. Yo, subscribe to the channel. And the subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications. Increase your chance to get notifications. We go live or drop video. Financially, want to support the channel. Cash App, $ CJ Good 313. Venmo, CJ Good 313. PayPal link in the description. Hit the link tree. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole nine. Appreciate the love and support. One time for the one time. Peace.